$7 trillion. That is not a typo. That is not inflation-adjusted speculation from some analyst trying to get clicks. That is the number Sam Altman has been quietly shopping to sovereign wealth funds and governments around the world, a figure so large it would represent roughly 8% of global GDP, all to build chips. And here is what should unsettle you. He is not doing this because OpenAI has a vision problem. He is doing this because he has done the math on what it actually takes to build the AI systems they are planning, and the answer broke every assumption the industry was operating under. The real story is not about chips. It is about what the chip shortage reveals about where AI is actually going, and why almost nobody outside a handful of labs understands the scale of what is coming. Welcome back to Zero Index. To understand why $7 trillion is not as insane as it sounds, you need to understand what happened inside OpenAI between GPT-4 and now. When GPT-4 launched in March 2023, it was trained on roughly 25,000 NVIDIA A100 GPUs over several months. The compute bill was estimated at around $100 million. Massive by any normal standard. But here is what changed. OpenAI's internal projections, which have leaked through various investor communications, suggest their next frontier models will require somewhere between 10 and 50 times that compute. Not a little more. An order of magnitude more. And the models after that, another order of magnitude. This is called a scaling law, and it has held remarkably consistent since 2020. The simplified version is this: every time you want a meaningfully smarter model, you need roughly 10 times the compute of the previous generation. The relationship is almost mechanical. So when Altman looks at the roadmap for the next 5 to 7 years of AI development, he is not seeing a compute problem that can be solved by ordering more GPUs from NVIDIA. He is seeing a wall. A hard infrastructure ceiling that no amount of software optimization can climb over. And there is a third factor here that took me weeks to fully track down, one that changes how you should think about everything else I am about to tell you. Most people think the AI bottleneck is about chip manufacturing. Taiwan Semiconductor makes the advanced chips, NVIDIA designs them, and the whole industry is waiting for more fabs to come online. That is true. But it is only part of the story. The deeper constraint is energy. A single NVIDIA H100 GPU, the current flagship chip for AI training, draws about 700 watts under full load. That does not sound like much until you realize that a frontier AI training cluster needs tens of thousands of these chips running simultaneously, 24 hours a day, for months. Microsoft's newest data center in Arizona draws more power than a small city. And that is just one facility for one company. When I started pulling the numbers on what it would actually take to train the AI systems being planned for 2026 and beyond, I kept hitting the same wall. There is not enough power generation capacity in the United States to support it. Not theoretical capacity, not planned capacity, actual available megawatts that can be delivered to data center locations. Google has started signing 20-year power purchase agreements with nuclear plants. Amazon acquired a data center campus directly adjacent to a nuclear facility in Pennsylvania. Microsoft hired the former Deputy Secretary of Energy and announced plans to invest in small modular nuclear reactors. These are not PR moves. These are companies quietly trying to lock up energy supplies for infrastructure that does not exist yet. And this is where Altman's $7 trillion starts to make sense. Because he is not just talking about chip fabs. He is talking about building the entire stack, power generation, transmission infrastructure, semiconductor manufacturing, and the data centers themselves, essentially from scratch. I want to be precise about this because most people miss it. The scaling laws I mentioned earlier are about training. But there is a second compute curve that matters just as much: inference. Training is what happens when you build the model. Inference is what happens every time someone uses it. Every ChatGPT query, every API call, every image generation, that is inference compute. And here is the uncomfortable part. As these models get smarter and more capable, people use them more. A lot more. OpenAI went from essentially zero consumer users to over 100 million weekly active users in under 2 years. The inference demand curve is not linear, it is exponential. A researcher at Epic AI named Jamie Sevilla has been tracking this. His team estimates that the total compute used for AI inference is now growing faster than training compute. Which means even if you solve the training bottleneck, you immediately hit an inference bottleneck. This is the treadmill Altman is trying to get ahead of. And actually, I need to stop here because most people get this completely wrong. The $7 trillion figure is not a one-time capital expense. It is not like building a factory and then operating it cheaply forever. The nature of AI infrastructure means it depreciates almost as fast as you build it. A cutting-edge chip today is outdated in 3 years. A data center designed for current workloads is inadequate for next-generation models. So when Altman says 7 trillion, he is describing something closer to a continuous infrastructure build that never stops, a permanent industrial project larger than anything humanity has attempted outside of wartime mobilization. There is a reason Altman went to the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and South Korea before talking to American investors about this plan. The United States has the AI talent. It has the leading AI companies. What it does not have is the capital formation mechanisms or the political will to make infrastructure investments at this scale. TSMC's most advanced chip fab in Arizona, announced with enormous fanfare in 2020, is years behind schedule and has faced continuous labor and regulatory delays. Intel's Ohio fab complex, which received billions in CHIPS Act subsidies, has already been scaled back. Meanwhile, the UAE's sovereign wealth fund has over $1.5 trillion in assets. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is approaching $900 billion. These are entities that can write checks for $100 billion without legislative approval, without environmental review, without shareholder votes. I spoke with a former semiconductor executive who worked on fab development in both the US and Asia. He told me something that stuck with me. He said the difference is not money. The difference is that in the US, everything that can slow a project down will slow a project down. In Asia and the Middle East, if the sovereign decides something will be built, it gets built. Now, there are serious concerns about AI infrastructure being controlled by foreign governments. There are national security implications. There are questions about data sovereignty and model access. But here is the reality Altman is operating in. The AI race will not wait for American infrastructure timelines. The question is not whether this gets built. The question is where it gets built and who controls it. Remember that third factor I mentioned earlier, the one that changes how you should think about all of this? Here it is. The $7 trillion plan only makes sense if you believe AI is about to become something much more than what it is today. Not incrementally better, categorically different. No one raises $7 trillion for chatbots. No one builds nuclear power plants for code completion tools. No one restructures global semiconductor supply chains for image generators. When I went back through Altman's public statements, investor letters, and congressional testimony from the past 18 months, a pattern emerged. He keeps using a specific phrase, superintelligent tools. Not artificial general intelligence. Not sentient AI. Superintelligent tools. The distinction matters. He is describing AI systems that are smarter than humans at most cognitive tasks, but remain controllable, directable, useful. Tools that can automate entire categories of knowledge work. Tools that can accelerate scientific research by orders of magnitude. Tools that can design their own successor systems. The $7 trillion figure is the infrastructure bill for that world. And whether you think that future is 10 years away or 3 years away, the people building it are acting like it is close enough to bet everything on. Here is what most coverage of this story misses. If Altman is right about the scale of infrastructure required, then the next decade of AI development will be determined almost entirely by who controls physical resources. Chips. Power. Land for data centers. Water for cooling. The software layer, the models themselves, will become increasingly commoditized. We are already seeing this with open-source models catching up to frontier capabilities within months of each release. The moat is not in the algorithms. The moat is in the infrastructure. Which means the companies and countries that control AI's physical layer will control AI's future. Not the researchers. Not the startups. Not the open-source community. This is a fundamental shift from how technology has worked for the past 40 years, where software ate the world and physical infrastructure was almost an afterthought. Altman is betting that the next era inverts that entirely. So here is where I will leave you. Altman's plan requires something that has never happened in human history: coordinated global infrastructure investment at a scale that dwarfs the Manhattan Project, the Apollo program, and the interstate highway system combined. It requires sovereign wealth funds to trust American AI companies with generational capital. It requires regulators to approve projects at speeds they have never demonstrated. It requires energy grids that do not exist to power facilities that have not been designed using chips that have not been manufactured. And it requires all of this to happen in a compressed timeframe, because the scaling laws do not wait and the competition does not sleep. The question is not whether this is technically possible. The question is whether our institutions, economic, political, regulatory, are capable of operating at the speed this moment requires. I genuinely do not know the answer. And I am not sure anyone does. But I do know this. The people with the most information about AI's trajectory are acting like this is an emergency. They are not hedging. They are not waiting. They are trying to build infrastructure for a future most people have not imagined yet. Whether they succeed will shape everything that comes next. If you want to keep tracking this as it unfolds, subscribe. I will be here.